Hello Wolfpack, November 2nd is quite possibly the most important day in the entirety of 2022 for Bitcoin. We are at the bottom of a local range for Bitcoin. We've been seeing extensively low volatility for a long period of time now, and we finally will be given the information via the FOMC decision for the market to either move forward, up or downwards. The sideways consolidation is coming to an end, and it will most likely sprout from the decision and the days leading up to November 2nd. Hello Wolfpack, I want to talk extensively today about the November 2nd FOMC decision and why that's so prevalent, why that's so important, not only for traditional markets but also for Bitcoin, and it's reflected quite simply and quite effectively in what the Bitcoin chart is actually doing right now. Now, yesterday we discussed quite extensively the fact that we had a breakout from this downtrending dotted yellow line. Okay, that's this one here. In fact, I'll make it pink just so you guys can see it. We talked about that quite a lot, and we talked about why that isn't exactly, in my opinion at least, a prominent, I guess you could say, entirely valid breakout, in the sense that it's probably not going to lead to sustained upwards price action, or at least that it's not confirmation of sustained upwards price action like we originally thought it was. And based off of that, I did change my buying plan a little bit. We've got the refreshed buying plan here. Again, I encourage you to go watch yesterday's video if you want to get a full breakdown of this buying plan, but that is the buying plan there. Just pause the video. You can see it's 3 separate scenarios covering all possibilities, and all of which give us a decent buying price on Bitcoin. But I am, of course, and as you guys would know at this point, I am, of course, a believer in the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin. I believe Bitcoin will bottom out as per the 4-year cycle, which means I believe we'll see a Q4 bottom on Bitcoin. Now, without further ado, I do want to talk about the main topic of this video, right? And that is, of course, as I said, the FOMC decision. That is happening on the 3rd of November in Australia, 2nd of November in the USA, and as reflected on the Binance, as reflected on the charts here, 2nd of November, this pink dashed line, vertical dashed line, is actually the date of the decision itself. Now, okay, obviously we see major moves after FOMC. That is, of course, interest rates decisions, and they have a pretty general, massive effect on the markets, not only for traditional markets, and we can see this reflected. In fact, let's get into that already, right? Every single time we can go through the dates here, the dates of the previous decisions. For example, September 22nd was the last one. Let's look at the DXY. What happened to the DXY after September 22nd? For example, that was over here. We saw a massive pump on the day of the release. I'm on the weekly chart here, and we actually saw a rejection afterwards. But the point is, we saw a pump. If we go back, even more in history, 28th of July, same thing happened on the DXY. 28th of July roughly marked a local bottom, and then we started going up again. Bond yields is the same story. Okay, 22nd of September was the last FOMC decision, and that marked a final pump before a local top, and we kept going upwards. And then, of course, there was the one that we just looked at before on the 28th of July, and just looking at that chart there, let's go find the 28th of July back here on the bond yields, for example. 28th of July, around here, it marked a local bottom, right? So generally speaking, this is just some examples here. When we see FOMC decisions, and when we see those interest rates go up or go down or whatever, even if they go down, which they won't go down, obviously, I'm just saying in general, it leads to dramatic swings, okay? We see compression before FOMC, which we're seeing right now. In fact, we're seeing very extensive compression. The most compression we've had on Bitcoin, by the way, since 2020, which we'll look at in a second. We see compression, and then the big decision happens, the FOMC decision, and then we see a massive move to the upside. Now, I have some speculation as to why the market is going sideways for so long at this point in time. Not only is it typical of bear markets for it to happen, right, generally at the bottom of bear markets, I'm not necessarily saying this is the bottom, but I do believe that it's a high probability that the bottom will be around this region, right? We will go, in my opinion, we will go down again and swoop the lows and get an actual placed bottom in Q4. But I do think this region is pretty likely to be the bottom, right? If not this region, and this is what I've discussed throughout months and months, if not this region, it will be 13.8k to 11.5k, which is the previous bear market. Let's get a better chart up here. The previous bear market's local kind of support range, this green box, that's the previous bear market's massive support range. So if we do go down below this 17k region, we will be going to that region, but this is all common knowledge at this point. What I really want to look at is this, okay? Not only do we have extensive evidence to suggest that FOMC will be making a big move for the market, and this compression will be ending around that period of time. We also do have the charts to back it up. Now, previously, if you remember my video a couple days ago, or a few days ago, I should say, I said we're going to be seeing a breakout this week, and we did. We did see that, right? That video was valid. We did actually see a breakout. As I said, we broke out of this pink downtrending line, right, which was previously the yellow dotted line. This one here stemming from, June 2022. We broke out. However, the breakout wasn't what we expected necessarily. In fact, we broke out, we got rejected straight away. We broke out and we got rejected. This chart's a bit messy, but you can see we broke out and we immediately got rejected from 19.6K, which is the 2017 all-time high resistance. So yes, we did see a breakout. My prediction was in fact correct in the short term. It just didn't do what we expected. We broke out, didn't do what we expected. So we're back into the compression right now. And we formed a new structure. We formed this blue, apologizing for the messy chart here, but you guys can see it if you look. We've got this blue triangular structure now, this blue symmetrical triangle structure. You can see the light blue symmetrical triangle structure. When does that reach an apex? Interestingly enough, that reaches an apex on the 2nd of November. Not only does the triangle reach an apex on the 2nd of November, but also the RSI triangle in the daily chart also reaches an apex on the 2nd of November, meaning that we are probably going to be primed for a massive move as per the Bitcoin charts, and the daily especially, around the 2nd of November, which is when FOMC releases. I want to briefly interrupt this video to talk about the BitGet exchange. Now, the BitGet exchange has 5 times lower fees than Binance, which is commonly referred to as the cheapest exchange in the cryptocurrency market. It's also non-KYC or voluntarily KYC, so you can stay true to the fundamental values of cryptocurrency, one of which being anonymity, of course. It's also got a security fund in there, so if you lose your funds by fault of the exchange or by personal fault, you can make a claim and actually retrieve your funds back. On top of all of this, if you sign up using my referral link, you can get access to exclusive discounts and rewards. This is the best exchange on the cryptocurrency market, and I use it personally, and so should everyone at the Wolves of Crypto YouTube channel. Now, if you're interested in actually learning how to trade for yourself, you can check out the Crypto Academy via the website link in the description below. This is a course developed by myself and Mega Crypto, a 10-unit course taking you through every single step from step 1 to step infinite about how to become a trader. Go ahead and check that out and chuck us an email at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you with the full information and payment information if you're interested. Thanks guys for watching the advertisements. Let's get back into the videos. Now, the move could happen before then. That's when the triangle apexes. But the fact of the matter is, that is basically the latest possible point in which Bitcoin can end this consolidation. This consolidation will come to an end. And now we've got actual concrete evidence based on a real world macro event to kind of make that kind of assumption there. We've also got, as you can see in the daily chart, not only do we have very tight compression with daily chart Bollinger Bands, but now it's getting ridiculously tight, okay? We're getting even more compression here. You can just see the extent of the compression on Bitcoin is insane. Obviously, compression, I've used this analogy in the past. It's like holding what would you say? It's like holding a beach ball under the water. You can hold it there for a certain amount of time, but when it finally comes up, when you finally let go, it's not only going to come to the top, it's not only going to float to the top, but it's also going to jump out of the water a little bit, right? So that can happen to the downside and to the upside. It's a great analogy to understand compression. You can compress something down under the water for a long period of time, and then when you finally let go, bang, it will jump out. It won't only come up, it will jump out. That's the same thing with markets here. It's a great analogy, and that's why I use it. So we will be seeing that jump in the markets at some point. Yeah, and these charts do suggest it will be occurring around the same time as FOMC will be releasing. So we looked into there, what generally happens with FOMC, and we have a kind of prediction from the markets here. The market is expecting a 75 basis point hike at around a 95% probability of that happening. So I would hence expect a 75 basis point hike. And looking back in history, we can go through these charts all we want here, but you guys probably know this by now. When we do see those 75 basis point hikes, and as I mentioned at the start of this video, we do generally see bond yields continue to go up. We do generally see the DXY continue to go up, and we do generally see a downturn in the S&P 500. Now, obviously, Bitcoin and the traditional markets aren't perfectly connected. However, generally speaking, when we do see those downturns for the traditional markets, we do see a similar downturn for Bitcoin. And so I would hence expect, not only based on the 4-year cycle, but I'd also expect it based on this for Bitcoin to see one more swoop to the downside there. And Ethereum's kind of backing that up as well. Now, Ethereum's obviously not a market mover. Bitcoin is the market mover, but Ethereum does have a pretty good, a pretty decent, let's just say this. If Ethereum rejects, it's pretty reasonable to assume that Bitcoin's probably doing the same thing. And guess what? Ethereum is rejecting. If we look at this downtrending line on Ethereum stemming back from December 2021 and also the retest at April 22nd here, we have tested that line once again in the recent days. And currently we're rejecting from it in a very similar fashion what Bitcoin is doing. Look at that compression on the Bollinger Bands as well for Ethereum. It's surprising to me in a certain sense. And, you guys would have seen so many videos on YouTube, a couple videos from me about it in the last few days titled, the Bitcoin move's coming soon, it's coming soon. You're probably getting so sick of it right now, and I don't blame you. But you guys need to understand, and everyone watching this video right now needs to understand, the reason why so many videos have been coming out like that, and they're saying big move, it's not clickbait. It's just that the TA is telling us a big move's really, really going to come. The problem is, we're seeing an unnatural amount of compression right now. It's not a problem with the analysis. People sitting here claiming the big move's coming soon, it's not a problem with their analysis. The problem is the market is acting irrationally. So you can't necessarily blame people for making videos like that. And that's why I probably will continue to make videos like that, because based on the TA, which is obviously what we do on this channel, we look at the charts. Based on the charts, we really should be seeing a big move soon. I mean, there's no other way to go about it. You see compression of the Bollinger Bands like this, that is so rare to see that type of compression. Let's go back on the Bitcoin chart. Okay, let's delete everything here. Let's look at Bollinger Bands purely, because Bollinger Bands are great for understanding, compression in the markets. The Bollinger Bands have not been this compressed, meaning Bitcoin has not been this, has not seen this amount of low volatility since July 2020. So over 2 years, 2.5 years, almost 2.5 years. Bitcoin is the most it's ever been compressed for 2.5 years. And guess what? In July 2020, that happened just before the big move. That's not saying it's going to be a move to the upside. It could be a move to the downside, but the point is it's going to be a move. I personally think, my personal opinion on Bitcoin, you guys know this by now for sure, my personal opinion on Bitcoin is this: I think we will get rejected, right? I think the quote-unquote big move will be a move to the downside, but I think it will be a big fake out to the downside before coming back up and doing something like that. That's what I think is going to happen for Bitcoin. I think we'll see a fake out to the downside and then actually sustain an upwards momentum. And, you might be thinking, well, Wolf, how can you say that when the traditional markets look so bad? And my response to that will be simply, and this is a response that I've given many times in the past, it will be simply this: Bitcoin does not bottom out at the same time as the S&P 500. It also does not top out at the same time as the S&P 500. We have evidence of that, not only based on the 4-year cycle, which in my opinion is much stronger than any speculation on macro trends, but we have evidence in that just in the bull market top, right? The S&P 500 topped out in January, Bitcoin topped out in November. By the time Bitcoin topped out, by the time the S&P 500 topped out, Bitcoin was already down 40%. The same thing can happen to the downside. But what I would say is this: it's just, that's a lot of repetition of information there. What I would say is this: this FOMC decision on the November 2nd is definitely what the market is waiting for. Generally, when you see compression like this, it means the market is waiting for something, in the sense that it means there's an undecided consensus of the direction. Why does the price move in a financial market? The price moves in a financial market because of people buying and selling. Why do people buy or sell? Because when people buy or sell, they're either bullish or they're bearish. And generally speaking, it's a battle between the bull and the bears. If the bears are winning, the price goes down. If the bulls are winning, the price goes up. Right now, we're going sideways because there's no clear market consensus. No one is definitively winning the battle between the bulls and the bears. Therefore, there's no general broader market consensus about what the price action is, whether it's bullish or bearish right now. People are very much neutral. And they are neutral because there simply isn't enough information for them to make a confirmed, justified decision. Therefore, we need more information. And when will that information come? It will come with FOMC. So November 2nd, big day for Bitcoin, big day for the whole market, traditional markets and everything like that. And in fact, I would probably be expecting a move to take place before FOMC, because we need to be seeing a price in of FOMC, of course. And generally speaking, when we get the days leading up to it, we do see some volatility start to ramp up. So it's going to ramp up very shortly. I know you've heard it 1,000 times, but I'm just here to repeat that same information there. And I'm here to give you a justification for the importance of FOMC and a justification for the reason we've been seeing this sideways price action. So sorry to repeat information, but it is necessary. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video.